No shortage of Kiwi fans that will have made the journey north, Peter, to support the Kiwis in many ways. It'll be interesting to see who has the crowd bias. And now the Kiwis will form up to perform the haka for one last time in 2005, led by, of course, the muss, Ruben Wiki. Steve Ganson, the referee this morning for this Tri-Nations final. Peter, some concern over Ganson as a referee.
Well, the confusion throughout the tournament has always been the interpretation around the ruck area by some of the Northern Hemisphere referees. That is where you get the most concern and, more importantly, where frustration starts to set in.
Here we go, the 2005 Tri-Nations final. New Zealand-Australia live.
2005 underway. And Dennis, ideal conditions for spectacular rugby, and both these sides have proved already they can do it.
They can both play, you can both use the ball, these sides, and it's an ideal situation. The ground looks perfect, there's no wind, it's a little bit of a chill in the air, but that all lets that little bit of sting in the contact.
New Zealand just getting that first touch of the ball, and they'll certainly want to go through this set of six, really get themselves back in the contention here, having had that bad loss against Great Britain earlier in the tournament. Paul Fatuiri, Tony and Stacey Jones with the first kick. Jones, who flew 12,000 miles from down under this week, having witnessed the birth of his third child. We'll just have to see, Dennis, what sort of pace he's got in his legs in the final 20 minutes.
Well, the final 20 could be all telling, or it could all be over by then. I think you'll see that Stacey will be up for this. It's a big game in the final.
Australia moving it out wide as they have done all the way through. No way through this time though for Matt King. Good tackling there by number 13, Shantae Happy. An interesting selection. I can't recall him playing at loose forward, Dennis, in this country certainly.
In the modern game though, Ray, your back row forwards and your centres, which Shantae Happy is the centre, the number 13, play a very similar game. And if you look at the New Zealand side, I think they've gone for that real pacey edge to them, playing centres in their back row.
Nice little chip kick through. Oh, it's a favourable... well, I thought it was going to be a favourable bounce for Craig Goward. It wasn't in the end. Flopping.
Asking questions already, Australia. Goward just got in there nice and quick. Barrett straight on top of him.
Trent Barrett, who was sin-binned twice against Great Britain. Motu Tony then, launching the forwards. Paul Rauhihi, 6'3", 18 stone. Ruben Wiki. An interesting comment made by former New Zealand coach Graham Lowe this week. He felt that Wiki had to stay on for 80 minutes to lead this New Zealand side.
Well, I think his presence is something that's really, really powerful in this Kiwi side. But I think the true leader in this team is Stacey Jones. He directs them, he sends them where they need to go, and Wiki needs to be inspirational.
And they're going down the blind side already with Louis Anderson, 15 metres then from this Australian line. We're on the fifth tackle. Here is Stacey Jones. Good high kick. Racing towards it. Oh, there's a chance. I think he's sensibly got the ball down. It seemed to hover in the air. A little bit of a misunderstanding by this Australian defence, but what a kick, Dennis, there from Stacey Jones.
A great tactic. I think they're looking here to see if he's onside. The winger's definitely onside here. The number 2, his eyes are on the ball, and he climbs. Does he knock it forward though, Ray?
Has it been knocked forward by Jake Webster there? I think only the video referee.
This angle will tell us better. I think it comes forward off him there.
I think the last knock, it comes off his chest.
It's still forward though, Ray. If it comes off him,
yeah,
it's still a knock-on.
Or is it knocked down first of all by Matt King?
It's a knock-on. No try, Ray.
Well, I'll let you decide on this one.
It's a great tactic though, putting pressure on King straight away. I think the ball comes forward there. If the number 2 puts his hand down on it, it's not, or catches it, it's not knocked on. But it's not him that actually scores the try.
Dave Campbell, the video referee, former referee from Widnes himself, to judge on this matter, and it is a try! Oh-ho! Jubilation then from Paul Watuira. His second try for New Zealand, and the Kiwis in the lead.
Like I say, Ray, it's a great tactic, a great kick from Stacey Jones. He's putting a lot of pressure. The winger comes through, and obviously thinks he doesn't go back. You see Jones, he picks it up. This is the great kick though, the accuracy to leave it in the air, so to get underneath it.
So here is that little man again, Stacey Jones. 17 goals already in this tournament. 10 metres in. No wind here at Ellen Road, but just lacks the direction. 4-0 then for New Zealand. Another long kick from the Kangaroos. And a lot of work, Dennis, expected of these 2 prop forwards, Rauhihi and Wiki, driving it away at first receiver.
They're the front foot that New Zealand need to punch some holes into this really strong Australian defence. But they're both up to the task. They both play against a lot of these Australians every single week, so they know what's expected of them.
New Zealand holding this ball well around this ruck area, driving it in, sapping energy of these men in the green and gold. Rauhihi there again. Jones, little kick, making Minicello run, turning him. Oh, a difficult one for him, but just a little bit too much force on there. But Brian McLennan there, the rookie coach. Interesting, Dennis, that Australia have made more tackles than any other side in this Tri-Nations, yet they've scored all the points. It's their counter-attack, isn't it?
Well, I think it's their ability to play with the ball. If you make errors and you give the opposition some chances with the ball,
good offload there.
Then you're going to have to do some defending. But they know how to use the ball and they're not afraid to use it, so they score tries.
Gaznier. Good running there by the half-backs. This is good here now. Moving it out to here wide. Matt Cooper. King. Good covering though by the Kiwis. 3 men. Can they get him in touch? Yes, they do. Just look at that black and white squad there. 6 of them. That's what these Australians are up against.
There's a real determination in this chase. A good shot there from the winger. There's plenty of black shirts there.
Stacey Jones to feed at the scrum. And New Zealand sensibly employing the stronger, more powerful Manu Vatuvai just in that defensive standoff role. good play, good movement here on 2 tackles from the Kiwis. Ruben Wiki again, his 50th Test cap.
It's a little bit back to basics from the Kiwis here. This is how they played in the first couple of games against Australia, when they got so many good results out of those games. It's just real simple coming out of their half, looking for opportunities, and good kick chase.
Another kick. Just a little bit too deep again. It's interesting, Stacey Jones is kicking towards Matt King, 6'3". You might expect him to be kicking elsewhere.
Well, he's kicking along the floor there, eh? I think he saw the ball. If you're 6'3", putting your hands down towards the floor is a little bit tougher. And over the last couple of weeks, we saw Brent Tate take the ball nearly 100 metres a couple of times and score tries. So you wouldn't want to be kicking to him.
Australia, who finished at the top of the mini league with 6 points, New Zealand with 4 points, Great Britain with 2, and of course the top 2 scheduled to play off here tonight at Ellen Road. Australia just edging over that halfway line. Danny Badouris, the skipper. Ben Kennedy, the Manly Sea Eagles. Barrett again with that, well, I was just going to say delicate little kick, but that's the 3rd kick, Dennis, we've seen so far, and all of them have had too much pressure.
Well, look, neither side has been allowed to train here, eh? And it makes it a little bit difficult when you kicker to judge the speed of the game, to judge the speed of the ground, the length of the grass, the size of the in goals, and they're just having a little bit of touch and feel at the moment, trying to. One of those kicks is just going to bounce right and stay in field and cause lots of problems.
New Zealand playing sound, sensible, safe rugby. You have to keep the ball away from these Australians. That's what they're doing, playing for position with these big, powerful forwards. And yet there's plenty of pace in this pack. David Kidwell's played in the centre. Happy's normally a centre. Motu Tony appeared on the wing for Hull. In fact, Ruben Wiki starred as a centre with Canberra, so no lack of pace, no lack of kicking either from this man. Ball back. That's on the 5th tackle, so that's a handover.
It's a great little play there, Ray, just to cause some deception in the Australian line.
Ryan McLennan sending instructions down to the men on the ground. Sivoni Seaver driving it in there. Ben Kennedy, lovely pass. Ooh, little bit of a high tackle, back again to Kennedy. Nice pass again, inside there to Fitzgibbon. Good tackling again from the Kiwis.
There's a little bit more adventure about the Australians play at the moment, though. They're willing to try and offload the ball, push the ball a little bit harder. It's causing the Kiwis a lot of stress in their defensive line.
I think this man's causing a lot of stress. Number 13, Ben Kennedy. Good passing by Danny Badouris. Kennedy there again. Was that knocked down? No, says the referee. And yet another kick. Out to the corner. Chance here. Good running. Oh, they're going to drag him in again. Brent Tate, no way through. And just look at the cover. Congratulations all round. There really is a spirit in this Kiwi side, Dennis.
It's what you'd expect, though, right here. Brent Tate's going over the line. The numbers there. Shows a great deal of desire. He skips back inside, thinks there's something down the short side for him. But this is the final. This is what you want.
Referee Steve Ganson having a lot of conversation with those 2 sets of front rows. Just calming them down. Just over 11 minutes gone. Australia trailing by 4 points to 0. The 1 try from Paul Fatuira for New Zealand. Tony. Not the sort of ball that David Kidwell wanted. On the 5th tackle. Jones. Now high one again. Well picked up by Minicello, judged the finest player in World Rugby League last week with the awarding of the Golden Boot. And a deserved recipient of that trophy. Matt King, number 2, the Melbourne Storm. Just one try in this tournament so far. Good run again by Gary Badouris, the skipper. Possibly his last trip to Great Britain, he was telling me. Good running again by Trent Barrett. Now to Gower. Dummy, Gower just can't get through. Good ankle tap. And holding down. No doubt about that, Dennis.
I think you see here, Gower, he just tries to get through the line. Wiki just not letting go. He's just keeping hold. He knows that they're in trouble here.
An interesting, the first penalty of this game, it just tells you how quick and how fast the action has been. We've been playing almost 13 minutes.
It's good. It's great discipline from both the sides, and it's good refereeing from Jansen as well, just to keep the game flowing.
Jason Riles, number 10, one of the many St George Illawarra players in here. Barrett again. Kidwell was low down. Ruben Wiki over the top for Badouris. Could easily have got the penalty, but they managed to keep the ball alive. Bounces one way, then the other.
Should be back to 6. Oh, knock on both ways. Interesting to see who'll be
New Zealand's head and feet.
It looked to me as though it was Patawira that got the hand to it.
You mentioned, Steve-O, about their waiting in defence there, New Zealand. It all stemmed from the play of the ball. They're winning the ruck, Australia, and their markers can't get set. And that's why they're jumping from dummy half, because they know the markers aren't set and they can beat them easy. And that's why the defensive line can't get set. If that continues, get in your Australian colours.
Spoken like a true blue kangaroo. Mr. Millward, you nailed your colours to the... Well, all right, green and gold, I know. But you nailed your colours very early in the piece this tournament to the green and gold mast, Ian.
Eddie, I looked up the word what a galaxy of stars means, and it means Europa.
Silence is golden. 14 minutes gone. New Zealand ahead by 4 points to 0. Ruben Wiki, though, for New Zealand. So important that he stays on the field for a long time on his 50th Test appearance.
It's important as well that New Zealand get a good kick away. The last 2 have been quite poor, right down the throat of Minicello.
Here's Stacey Jones. They put pressure on him, and there's the kick that, well, it actually bounces in the field of play from the fullback Brent Webb, but it was not the tidiest kick, although it does the job.
Good pressure though by the Australian defence. He started to pick out Stacey Jones early. He had to offload.
Brent Webb, a try in the win against France in Toulouse last week, and 2 tries, of course, against Great Britain at Loftus Road. It's good to see that the British crowd, by the way, has come out to support the concept of the Tri-Nations. Over 25,000 tickets sold earlier this week, and it looks as though we're going to be a little bit over the 25,000 mark here tonight, which is terrific news for the international game. They go wide, Australia again. Good hands. It finds its way into the arms of Gasnier. This fellow is the best centre in the world. No doubt about that. And here they come again, Australia, in the shape of Craig Gower. He gets it to Ben Kennedy, and the New Zealanders scrambling in defence. Stacey Jones tying the ball up as Motu Tony made the tackle. Badouris gets it away to Luke O'Donnell.
Interesting to see how the Australians are interchanging on that occasion. We saw that the winger had come into the centre position, pushed Gasnier out onto the touchline.
Gower, back it comes to Minicello. That's a good defence though again from New Zealand. Great flying tackle by Nigel Vangenaar. This now is Trent Barrett, and he'll hoist the kick out wide. Oh, he was taken a bit late there, wasn't he? Ball is bouncing around all over the shop, and the ball is stabbed through, and they're looking for Badouris. They're going to get an extra set of 6 here. But I tell you what, Trent Barrett is still groggy in back play.
1 second, I want to have a look at something there.
Interesting to see whether he was really taken out illegally.
What play with Trent Barrett?
Certainly appeared late. Left elbow.
It's Rahini.
Well, he lined him up.
No touch to his report, but
Oh, that really. I mean, it didn't hit him in the face, to be fair, but it was definitely an elbow into the chest.
Okay.
Well, Steve Ganson's asking the video referee about the incident. There's no advantage for Australia here because they're already going to receive the ball from the dropout. But would it be a problem if they did put him in the bin? But I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to call him out for caution, but...
Well, if he gives a penalty, Ian, where the incident happened, that will be a benefit to Australia.
It will be, Eddie, but Australia will not go for the 2. Because at the moment they're making plenty of yardage coming out of their half, and they just want a couple of back-to-back sets in the opposition half because their second phase plays very well. They're beating the first defender. It's their scrambling defence at the moment, New Zealand, that's keeping them in the game. Any possession Australia get will cause problems.
Paul Rahihi got out of the way quickly then.
Okay.
And he's come off the field and has been interchanged. But Mr. Ganson wanted a word with him.
That's smart, coach.
Brian McLennan got him off the field.
That is a smart coach.
Okay.
Having substituted.
It's the goal line dropout then for New Zealand. Australia will get the ball back here, but they get it back on halfway.
Play on.
And Craig Gower has it for Australia. Gives it then to Jason Riles.
First, back in hole.
Full credit to the New Zealand defence as well. At times they're very slow. You see some are moving up, others aren't. And that's always going to be a danger, but they are scrambling back. Australia getting the half break, just haven't made that clean one as yet.
This is Craig Fitzgibbon. Yes, testament to the Kiwi defence that they haven't got through. It's Badiris and Gower on the angle, and the pass into the arms of Luke O'Donnell, but good defence again. Asatazi in there, the man who's come on for Paul Rahihi. Here is Trent Barrett, and now it's with Riles, and they managed to hold him up again. Gower will spin it this way. Oh, interception! Away goes David Kidwell! David Kidwell with all the kangaroos after him. Oh, and he's hammered by the wing of Brent Tate.
Tate says, come here. Well, Kidwell wonders what on earth, and that's the penalty. It's going on. They're throwing it. Oh, someone's been king hit from the back as well. Well, we expected it might be a bit tasty, but we thought that would occur in the opening minutes. It's taken 17 3/4 minutes for it to explode. Just sheer frustration. Threw the ball at him. And then it was on, but someone got king hit in the back play. Kidwell, I'm not so sure he was onside. This is the incident where Tate is back.
What have we got, boys?
And Luke O'Donnell went into him. They threw the ball away. And then it was on. Right, straight into it. Bang. But someone came right from the left-hand side. And I think Luke O'Donnell copped a beauty.
Well, Mr. Ganson has taken reports from both touch judges.
The captains sorted out original penalties New Zealand for the interference after the break. Get on with it, sort your teams out. Yeah, we checked it up there, there's no problem. No, it's not.
Well, the Australians believe that Kidwell was a mile offside to play the ball. But they didn't go back for that, they just looked at the fight.
That's what I was asking you about.
They did not go back for that.
For a bloke who sent Adrian Molly off in the first couple of seconds of a test, I think it was great you kept them all on the field. Didn't put a bloke in the bin.
Well, it's... now, a lot of people say it's not a match unless there's a bit of fisticuffs, and it certainly is a test match now. Here is Ruben Wiki.
Well, you normally see handbags at 10 paces, but
great offload.
There was a few making the mark. This will play into the Kiwis' hands now.
Stacey Jones, and he finds the fullback, and here is Wiki. Good ball from Webb, and he's just held up short is Ruben Wiki. David Kidwell, whose break provided this opportunity for the Kiwis, and that is Webb. Oh, it's so close. They're appealing that this is a try, but he's held up short. But it looked like he was over the line then, the fullback Brent Webb. Back it comes to Stacey Jones again, and then wide they go, and they must be in. They are in on that far side, and it is the winger Manu Batabai. Manu Batabai doubles the New Zealand lead. Well, as you say, all the nonsense that went on in centre field would play into the Kiwis' hands. And it certainly has. They've come up with the second try. 8-0, New Zealand.
It certainly did. They lost to the composure. Now there you see, he had his foot behind, so therefore he's onside. Doesn't necessarily have to have both feet. This is great finish. Great finish in there, and Brent Tate, for some unknown reason, hesitates out wide. What's this, Tate? He really should have gone early. And Butterfly has all the strength to finish it off. Simple dummy run. And what a finish.
Great ball wide too from Clinton Tupi to Manu Butterfly. The 19-year-old comes up with his third try for New Zealand. The second try on the night. And New Zealand have an 8-0 advantage. And Stacey Jones is a little concerned with the pitch markers over on that far side. He's already taken the flag out that marks the 20-metre line, and now he's just kicked the pad that says 20, just to get his run up right for this. Missed with his first conversion attempt from the other side, but that's the angle he has this time here at Ellen Road tonight. And this for a sensational 10-0 lead, but he's pulled it the wrong side of the post. But Australia 0, New Zealand 8 in the Tri-Nations final.
Well, the Aussies just lost their composure, especially the winger Tate there. He's undecided, he doesn't know which way to go, and when it happens, it's too late. He should have been right in front of him quicker than that. He looks calm, doesn't he, Brian McLennan? But he knows 2 tries against the Aussies. What a dream start, and fully deserved. You've got to take your opportunity. But can the Australians regain that composure? Little doubt in my mind that that little bit of fracas has helped the Kiwis.
I think, Steve, you have to take your hat off to the wingman Vatavai there as well. We can criticise Tate, but let's applaud Vatavai because his body positioning as he went for the line, it was very low, it was driving in, it was very determined, and that's a great try. And we felt the Kiwis' dam was going to burst with the Australians exerting the pressure, but they get to the other end of the field and they come away with the 4.
Well, if Australia are to win the Tri-Nations in 2005, it'll be a direct contrast to what happened here 12 months ago, when at half-time they led Great Britain by 38-0. Now they are 8-0 down, and Stacey Jones is conducting the orchestra, and that's a fantastic high kick.
What a take now, under a lot of pressure. That's one of the reasons why this guy has been voted the best in the world. It was a beautiful kick again from Stacey Jones.
But it's a great tactic, Steve-o, isn't it, as well? You know that Minichiello's such a great returner of the ball, so give a high ball, and then all your defensive line can get there to take him as he receives it, and you've eliminated him from that tackle.
Knock on by Ben Kennedy, and I noticed that 1 or 2 of these Australians are looking and questioning Mr. Ganson.
You can't blame the referee for that. Ben Kennedy wanted to get on with the game. Play the ball, you've got to regain your position and then place the ball. He did it absolutely in reverse, and that's the reason why he lost it.
In the tackle before, though, Steve-o, and the errors, they've made 4 to New Zealand's 0, as you've just seen crawling through the top of your screen. In the tackle before, there was a bit of a complaint to Mr. Ganson from the Australian. This is Tupi again.
Well, they've got to forget about the guy with a whistle. They've got to make sure that their defence is pretty solid.
I think the green and golds are rattled here, you know.
Oh, without a doubt.
And this is Louis Anderson. And that's an important tackle by Ben Kennedy. And there is David Fayumu, who's just on. He gets it away to Kidwell. And Kidwell with nowhere to go. Absolutely bottled up then by the Australian defence. Craig Fitzgibbon making the tackle. Fayumu again. It's now is Stacey Jones. And he flicks it back to Shontaine Harpy.
Oh, a high shot there.
And Harpy through. And if he could have got the ball away to Brent Webb, he was over under the sticks. 4 tackles gone. Fayumu again, going on his own. Fayumu bang underneath the Australian post now. And Brent Webb is the dummy half. Back it comes to Stacey Jones. The kick out wide. It's worked for them so often. It could work again. It has worked again.
He's got it.
Manu Butterfly with the try. He'll just have to check for the offside, will he? Having a long talk with the touch judge, not giving
just
yet.
what happened there, mate. Judge used feels the Australian player may have caught it.
Dancing all the way around the area. He thinks he scored here.
So do I. Again, a beautifully weighted kick from the little halfback Stacey Jones, creating all sorts of trouble for the green and gold. He went very early, didn't he? Very early indeed, Tate. And he gets it stolen. It's a smash and grab. And he's got the 4, no doubt about that. This will come up as a TRY. Most of the British in this stadium tonight, they said they wanted to cheer on the Kiwis. Well, they're having plenty to cheer about. This is a great take. It's a steal. And it's the 3rd try for the black and whites.
Vatavai has just picked the pocket of Brent Tate. And this will be a try to New Zealand. And they lead by 12 points to 0. And I know we've talked about the work that they're having to do in defence, but Wayne Bennett will know that the longer this goes on, the greater the confidence will grow for the men in the black and white.
Superb high kick yet again. This is the reason why they brought him from down under. Barely celebrating about the new birth, and he was on the plane. His wife said, yes, you can go, it's so important to you. And he's done it again. Kick into the right corner, produced a try. Now they've kicked into the left corner and done exactly the same thing.
And Manu Vatavai with his 2nd try. The New Zealand warrior. And there's a bit of a conflab going on behind the Australian line as Stacey Jones lines up this kick. Now, is it 3rd time lucky? No. 3 tries, 12 points, no conversions, 12-0. It's still in Australia's hands, but as I say, the confidence will be growing in the New Zealanders, Ian.
I think if you talk about New Zealand wanted before the game, they didn't want a fast tempo and they wanted field position. They've got both. If you look at their bench at the moment, Ali Lelati, Dave Solomona, outstanding forwards, have not entered the field of play because the tempo hasn't been at the speed where he's had to make instant replacements. And that's the key for Australia. Cut out the errors, maintain field position and get Jones away from your line from these attacking kicks.
I think we saw very early as well, Sivanasiva went very high, trying to take someone's head off, instead of doing his job out there and doing the defence. You cannot carry anybody in international football.
Ruben Wiki again. 27 minutes without a breather for the New Zealand captain. When he leaves the field, they do tend to lose their way a little bit. Asatazi, well, it's all coming off for them. He got the ball away. Stacey Jones got it wide to Anderson, and Anderson got it to Clinton Tupy. And the Australians are having a devil's own job in getting into this Tri-Nations final. Look at that, 5 breaks to 1 for New Zealand. And this is Kidwell now, and Stephen Price gets him.
Rather surprisingly as well, the Kiwis are finding those gaps in and around the play-the-ball area.
Brilliant from Stacey Jones, gets the ball in field to Vanganar. Vanganar clips it down the line, and Minicello just tidies up the danger. But it will be a goal line dropout for Australia, and more pressure, a repeat set of 6 for the Kiwis.
Super stuff, little step, then the dink into the corner. Look at the chase there. Minicello couldn't take any chances, and they get the repeat. They are stunned.
Well, I think the Aussies are stunned, Steve, but I think we must applaud how well that New Zealand are playing. Tactically, they're getting things exactly right, and it's obvious that Wayne Bennett has sensed that there's a problem because he's brought both props off, Riles and Sivanasiva, and interchanged them straight away. So there tells you where Wayne Bennett feels that the game's being lost at this moment in time.
Drive forward here by Roy Asatazi, who was in the side beaten by the Leeds Rhinos here in February in the World Club Challenge. Now it's with Wiki. Oh, an offload again and flick back. That was Harpy, and they have the men on the overlap wide here. Tupe. Oh, Vatavai puts the ball down. That was a hat-trick begging, and that could have been the Tri-Nations final.
I think you're right as well. Back on the inside, good positioning, and again we could see that Australia, they're having a lot of trouble down their right-hand side in defence. Good work by the Kiwis. They are spotting that. They're working well onto the left-hand side.
Steve, I think one of the problems, not in that instance, but young Tate, what he's having a problem with Vatavai, when it gets down to man-on-man, he's backpedaling. He has to go forward at him, and he's buying time and backpedaling. He's making Gaznia feel very uncomfortable. When it's man-on-man, go at him.
Well, these pictures being beamed live and this commentary live in Australia and New Zealand, people waking up down under to this Tri-Nations final, and do not adjust your sets in Australia. It is a 12-0 lead that the Kiwis have, and they are full value for this. 3 tries they have scored, the 2 by Manu Vatavai. He got the second and third, and Paul Fatuira got things going. It's 12-0 to New Zealand, and Gower trying to do something about it for Australia. And here now is Marco Milan. And a penalty for hands in at the ruck against David Kidwell.
Silly play by the second rower. It's given Australia the field position that they've been wanting for quite some time. And I think that Wayne Bennett has got the message out and said, listen, we may have a great three-quarter line, but we've got to have our forwards getting over the advantage a bit. Let's roll our sleeves up and get our shirts dirty.
That's Mark O'Mealy again. Gets to his feet, plays the ball to Badiris. And Badiris attacking the line, flicks it back to Trent Barrett. Little half break and an important tackle low down again by David Fayumu. And it's with Craig Gower, and he manages to get the ball backwards, but it's gobbled up by the New Zealanders on the floor. That was good work by Brent Webb.
Well,
They're
Eddie,
not at the races, the Aussies.
if you want to measure enthusiasm, Eddie, it's little things like that. When there's a loose ball on the ground, who's going to react the first? Who's the sharpest to it? And it's been the New Zealanders all night there. Great work by Brent Webb, and that's consequently they've got the penalty from there.
They've got a penalty for offside. They might have had a penalty also for a high shot by Ben Kennedy on Jake Webster.
Didn't miss him either. Again, the frustration. And again, the field position is being given away. They'll be kicking all night with the Kiwis. They know they've got a 12-point lead now. But how embarrassing would it have been if all 3 conversions would have gone over?
Indeed so. It's Rahihi who has returned to the fray. Wayne Bennett looking for the combination that will turn this match Australia's way as he makes the changes. And Asatazi will play the ball. Here is Stacey Jones. Back it goes to Brent Webb. Oh, that looked a touch forward. The referee agrees.
Yeah, just delayed it a little bit too long. Nice move, though. And you see on the different angle, definitely Webb just held it up. Clinton Tupi just a bit in front, but they really are working down that right-hand side, and they're doing the dummy runner coming and then another one coming round on the angle.
Well, Clinton Tupi is one of the leading try scorers in this Tri-Nation series, and he runs very straight direct lines. He doesn't run to a sideline. The other thing I'll pose you too, Steve, wouldn't it be embarrassing for Australia if it was 12-6 at half-time, because New Zealand have completely dominated the first 30 minutes.
You mentioned Clinton Tupi, and he's the only Kiwi ever to get 2 hat-tricks against Australia, including one in Sydney last month. He got one in 2003 in Auckland as well. 12-0, the Kiwis lead. 7 and a bit minutes to the half-time siren. What a first half it's been for New Zealand.
Well, I think the Australians are a little bit surprised as well. Remember, there was about 15 minutes where Australia were making the half break, and they're making the errors, they're offloading there in heavy traffic, and it's not paying off for them.
And they have another penalty here, New Zealand.
And I think they'll shove this right into the corner. I don't think they'll bother with the 2 so far out.
Matt Cooper penalised for twisting and turning the player on the ground.
Not only that, Eddie, is that the Australians are eager to keep it alive. We mentioned that in the opening minutes when they had 5 passes underneath their own post. Trouble is, it's just not coming off for them.
Rahihi drives the ball in. They're 10 metres away from the Australian line. And that's Faumu again. And here now is Stacey Jones. Pops the ball back. It's Asatazi. Roy Asatazi driving it in. And Australia having the devil's own job to keep them out. It's with Faumu again. Here is Stacey Jones. It'll be a fairy tale if Stacey Jones gets over for a try in this match. Brent Webb, the dummy half. Back it comes to Nigel Vangenaar. He drives it in straight again. And the substitute, Craig Wing, is there first with Willie Mason to bring him down. And another penalty for hands in the ruck.
They'll take the 2 here. No doubt about that. Yep. confirmation from the coach. Well, Brian McLennan must be pinching himself that that Australia are making so many errors, but let's take nothing away from the Kiwis because the errors are coming, because the aggressive defence, they're coming in numbers.
They are, because they've got field position and the kicking game from Stacey Jones is outstanding. But this is not something new to him, but also, remember, Steve-O, in Australia, only what we were talking about 5 or 6 weeks ago, they won at the Telstra Stadium, and then they went back to their homeland and were only beaten by 2 points. So, you know, they're not in foreign territory. It's a key how they maintain it now.
Stacey Jones maybe is the key. Just how much will the effects of the long flight home and then back for the birth of his son, how much will that take out of him tonight? And that's his first successful kick of the evening. But importantly, it stretches the advantage still further. It's New Zealand 14, Australia 0. And Wayne Bennett, well, he has to do some work, doesn't he?
He certainly does. John Keir, I pose the question, what a dream start for McLennan. What sort of speech will he make at half-time?
Well, he'll just tell his New Zealand troops to continue doing what they've been doing so very, very well indeed, i.e. getting out of dummy half. All the three quarters have done quite a bit of scooting out of dummy half, hitting the big forwards who are punching holes around the ruck area, and then Stacey Jones finishing the set off with a great kick and chase. And that will be the speech. Keep doing what we've been doing so well.
And importantly, with less than 5 minutes to go to half-time, they still have to bring the ball handlers like David Solomon and Ali Lauatiti off the bench, New Zealand. Well, that is a very, very important weapon for them here tonight.
And that's what we knew. Out wide.
It's another penalty. Well, Mr. Ganson's caning the Aussies.
Look at the manner it came
and, well, there's the fellow who destroyed Great Britain in the first half last year, Darren Lockyer. This is uncharted territory in terms of Tri-Nations. At Ellen Road, anyway.
Well, I don't think Mr. Ganson's being harsh on the Australians. He's just refereeing the game.
Yep.
If he reads the ball out, he reads the ball out, and it's a penalty.
6-2 to New Zealand on the penalty count. 14-0 where it matters on the scoreboard. You're absolutely right, John. He's refereeing the rules, and there's nothing wrong in that.
Go.
And here now at the Kiwis again with Asatazi. What is wrong? There are a lot of the Australians, especially the forwards. They're just having a big chat to the official.
There's another one, and the referee now will call the captain, and he will take action eventually here.
Captain, please. Captain.
There's a lot of messing around going on at the play the ball. And
yep.
It's unfamiliar. It's unusual that the Australians are the ones who are slowing it down.
Tactics when they're on a roll. You've men in the tackle, but they're just lying there. Steve Price was on forever then. You've got to get him off. I've give you, there's been stripping, there's
not surprisingly.
Okay, well, it's been both ways. Okay, well, let's sort it out and give him the opportunity. Okay, mate.
Well, he's asked for both ways, says Craig Gower. But they're going to take the 2 points on offer here, New Zealand.
And they've got to. And doesn't that bench look a little bit sick at the moment? Now, when you cast your mind back to last year in the Tri-Nations, New Zealand were finding themselves in a good position, and they seemed to capitulate in the second half. I really don't think that the Australians can have that mindset and go in and say, oh, well, you know, they will fall apart. Because I don't think they will. I think they'll fight all the way through into the second stanza.
Well, Stacey Jones, normally he will eat these for breakfast. New Zealand Warriors, Le Catalan next year in the Super League. And how important will he be to the French challenge that will be coming into the British competition in 2006? I think he will have a mighty influence on the affair in the south of France. And we will be seeing Le Catalan against Ian Millwood's Wigan on Saturday, February the 11th here, live on Sky Sports. The opening weekend of the Super League, Castleford against John Keir's Hull the evening before. That's all to come in 2006. February the 10th, February the 11th, the opening weekend of the Super League on Sky Sports. The week before, it is the World Club Challenge at the Galfarm Stadium, Huddersfield. The champions of the UK, Bradford Bulls against West Tigers. It's a Friday February the 3rd at 7:30. We shall be live for all of that, of course.
Hold. Go.
Again, the New Zealanders quite happy to trundle it through with the big forwards. They know they've got the man, Stacey Jones, who can do the kick. And again, good running from dummy half.
Oh, everything sticking for New Zealand. And this is Stacey Jones again. And there's the kick to the corner. And it's an invitation for Fatuira. Oh, the ball just beats him. Wow, well, if that would have been a try, I think the Australians could have all gone home.
Great work. But ability, and that just shows you the confidence, doesn't it?
Come on.
They couldn't get to him. Stacey Jones stumbled and was allowed to get to his feet and get the kick away.
I think the big one there, Steve, was how well he read the game, though, because he hit the floor and almost immediately, as soon as he regained his feet, he weighed up the options, he looked at how many defenders were there, how many offensive plays, and just slipped a lovely kick behind. And if it had been a yard less hard, Steve-O, it'd have been a try. Yep.
Steve, I think Stacey Jones keeps answering your question about last year. They led every tri-series game at half-time and wilted last year. The difference keeps coming back to that man, Stacey Jones. He didn't play last year.
Gaznia, they missed the tackle on him at their peril, but they are there in numbers. And Rahi dumps him on the deck.
Well, Australia will gamble. They won't just shut up shop. Oh, well, they will now.
Willie Mason drops the ball. It's swooped on by David Kidwell. They have a minute, and they have a full set of 6 to get another try just before half-time, New Zealand.
Or even a 1 point.
Yeah, that's a good call, Steve, as well. You know, they might have a shot for 4 or 5 tackles, and if nothing else is on, slip that ball between the H's.
It's Brent Webb, and he goes wide to Stacey Jones. Back inside it comes to the substitute, Fauimu. And he is just enveloped by the tackle of Craig Wing and Craig Fitzgibbon. And now it's with the fullback Webb again. Over the top it goes. Oh, they went for the interception. They come up with it in the end. And it is Brent Tate. Well, they just went wide. They were looking really for the 4 points out wide then. Here is Fitzgibbon. 10 seconds to the half-time siren. Gaznia at dummy half. This is Gower. Whoa, what a hit, and Gower's flat out. There's the half-time siren. Vangenaar it was. Vangenaar took Craig Gower then, and he's not happy with it. Craig Gower having a chirrup in the ear of 1 or 2 players. Well, Craig Gower's all right, but there's the magician, there's the man who has waved the wand, and New Zealand are ahead in the Tri-Nations final. The job is half done. A Stacey Jones orchestrated performance, and New Zealand are ahead by 16 points to 0. And Australian players limping their way also to the sideline, I saw there. But it has been New Zealand's half. Began with Fatuira's try, Vatuvei with his 2 tries, and then Jones with the boot. And the Kiwis are ahead by 16-0 at half-time.
For a short time with a win in the Tri-Nations final. Will they get it? You will see it live on Sky.
Their best to roar New Zealand on to victory. Marco Mealy and his fellow forwards with a big job to do in this second half. I think it goes without saying, Steve-O, Australia, they've got to start well now.
Without a doubt, and their forwards have got to get up the tempo. Kiwis, of course, they'll be playing very basic rugby league football, and that's what they did most throughout that first half. We keep mentioning the kicking game from Stacey Jones, and that's all they have to do. And they'll be forcing the error yet again. Australia coughed up so much possession in that first half. It was ridiculous.
This is Stephen Price for Australia. Second tackle, opening set of 6 of this second half. And Willie Mason will drive the ball forward. A try-scoring substitute in last year's Tri-Nations final. This, meanwhile, is Craig Wing. And he has, of course, answered the call from his holiday in Hawaii to play in this tournament once Darren Lockyer was injured. The kick, though, is not the best. It's straight down the throat of Brent Webb, and here come New Zealand again. Ben Kennedy leading the charge. Mason finishing him off. And the winger, Jake Webster. Test debut against Australia in Sydney. 6 tries in 6 tests for him so far. Not on the score sheet tonight.
Well, I
as though Vatuvei
I think Blind McLennan can have 10 out of 10 for the first half, Eddie, but it'll be interesting this half to see how he uses Solomon and Lautiti as well to keep the momentum going.
Well, they are keeping the momentum going. Everything, as I say, all their offloads, all the balls that go to ground, all the balls that bounce in front of players, it finds its way into New Zealand arms. And here is Stacey Jones again, and there's the script. It's a well-read script, this. It's a well-worn script. And this time they hang off, and the ball is knocked forward by the New Zealand winger Webster. It's very basic, but it's very effective so far.
For the 16-0 lead, that's all you need to do. If they can starve Australia of field position, it'll be the clock that'll be against the green and golds.
This is Craig Wing and Willie Mason.
Great defence, isn't it? We spoke about the team spirit that this young coach Brian McLennan has brought to the black and whites, and they really are working hard for each other. The one thing that Wayne Bennett, he doesn't panic. That's the one thing about the Australian coach, and I think he would have said to them that we have got to get back into some sort of pattern.
Craig Gow's gone for a 40-20 here, but Brent Webb gets it, just palms it back a little bit towards his own line, sets off on the run, almost gets away from Fitzgibbon, can't get away from Gower though. And this is Clinton Tupy. Will come down this left-hand channel again. Stopped by Brent Tate. And this is Anderson.
I think they'll play this one out football, New Zealand, every time they're in their own half.
Kidwell.
It's only when they get anywhere a sniff of the Australian line will they become a little bit more confident. Try something different.
That's a penalty to Australia this time.
Space, I've told you about it. You're going forward off the mark.
And moving off the mark is the referee Steve Ganson's version of events here.
Travelling off the mark.
Well, I think he's been hard done by that.
He's moving off the mark, mate.
But what we've seen in that first half go on in and around the ruck area. Not that the Aussies will be complaining.
Well, the third penalty they've received from Mr. Ganson, and the first time that they have had such proximity to the New Zealand line in this second half.
Well, this is the area where you normally see Minicello.
Ball lost, and Stacey Jones gets it to Shontaine Harpy, and this is David Kidwell. Well, they look completely out of sorts, Australia. I know New Zealand are playing so well, but they look completely out of sorts. But was that dragged back by Rahi?
Well, it certainly looked that way.
Well, it was a smart play. It was one-on-one, and I think he just played at the arm, and that forced the header. So Stacey Jones certainly didn't ask any questions, did he?
No, Wood didn't wait for any inquest, did he? As Asatazi drives it forward again for New Zealand. Inside Australian territory now with Fayumu.
And again, the first and second markers in the Australian side, very poor, hesitant.
And Rahihi hasn't heard the call. That's going to be the turnover. They haven't heard the call there.
Well, he's mad with himself as well, but not as mad as Stacey Jones will be. He was getting himself in a position. This is the incident where they coughed up the ball yet again, Australia.
Definitely one-on-one, but I just wonder whether the ball from Rahihi went forward.
Second hold.
Anyway, it's all academic now. Here are Australia with Gower. He finds Fitzgibbon.
We haven't seen much spark from the two halves either, and that indicates that the forwards aren't doing their shift work. They've got to get in. That's better.
Willie Mason driving Australia forward on tackle number 4. Craig Wing waits dummy half. They're 25 metres away from the line. Barrett with a little dab over the top looking for Gower. Oh, the ball has bounced off and can't get it out. Offside. Offside against... Oh, the referee is actually asking the video referee to check whether it was a try.
That's a knock-on to start with.
Knock-on, and then Louis Anderson, I think, picked the ball up in an offside position. But has Trent Barrett scored is what the referee is asking here.
It's a neat little chip over, isn't it? Gower was there, picks it up well. I think it's short. Yeah, short. The ball's gone on. That's play on. There'll be no try. It'll be interesting to see how they restart this game.
Maybe it's a knock-on against Barrett.
He did well, very well, but he's short of the line. Now they was it deliberately knocked down by Webb? That's the interesting thing here.
Well, for me, Steve, they'll start it with New Zealand head and feet. Barrett's knocked the ball forward, trying to score a try. Webb, as rightly, is defending his own line, hasn't played at the ball. I think he's knocked it on. You see, look at Webb where he's looking. All he's doing is defending his own line. That's a knock on by Barrett.
I have to agree with you, John. This will be head and feed to the Kiwis.
Scrum defence, and New Zealand are the defence.
And another chance has gone begging. Not that Australia have had many throughout this game.
They've had very few. Louis Anderson did pick the ball up in an offside position, but the knock on by Trent Barrett nullified all of that.
Hold the push.
So it's a scrum down with head and feed to Stacey Jones of New Zealand. And he gets the ball away to the fullback, Brent Webb.
You're all up early,
and the referee now gives a penalty for offside to New Zealand. Stacey Jones finds touch over on the far side. It stays at 16-0. Let's go down to the sideline. Chris Warren with news from the Australian dressing room. Chris.
Well, Eddie, I imagine Coach Wayne Bennett would be very disappointed with the way they have started the second half. There was one loud, clear message given to the Kangaroos at half-time, and that was hold the ball. You can't win a game without possession. And they've had two good attacking sets, and they've failed to complete both of them. So, I mean, if you look at the pre-match warm-up, it was like a finely tuned military exercise with precision, great execution, but sadly, as the game picked off, they'd all abandoned them.
Nigel Vangenaar was looking for a penalty then, not coming. It's with Stacey Jones. And Webb almost through again. Plays the ball on the last. That was Louis Anderson. This is Stacey Jones again. Chip kick down the line. And finds Vatuvai, who tops it inside to Tupi. And the ball wide. And it's a good job that Matt Cooper was there to defuse that kick across the face of play. Let's go down to honorary Kiwi Bill Arthur. He's with the New Zealand dressing room.
And it's a very satisfied Kiwi dressing room, but one that knows there's a lot of work to be done in this second half. And the message from Coach Brian McLennan was discipline and completing the sets of six, which is exactly what they did in the first half, and which has been a hallmark of this Kiwi effort in the Tri-Nations. They have been a lot more disciplined and cut out a lot of the errors that have proved so costly to them previously. Interestingly, David Solomona ready to enter the fray for the first time for New Zealand and could have a big impact.
So could Craig Wing. He was hunted down, but there is the Wakefield Trinity Wildcat, David Solomona, prowling the line, waiting to come in. And the kick over the top is looking for the Speetzers out wide for Australia. Gasnier is there. So to Minicello, and they effect the tackle 5 metres away from the New Zealand line. Stacey Jones scurries in at dummy half.
Much better play by Australia there, brought about by the run from dummy half from Craig Wing. They certainly need something to spark them. Well, this is going to be a battle royal.
Interestingly enough, that Ruben Wiki has returned as well. And the New Zealanders, as I'm reminded, have survived, of course, with a 0 against the Australian name on the scoreboard. They survive without him. There he is. Back to inspire his men to a famous victory, perhaps. And Stacey Jones on the last tackle just hoiks the ball downfield. Back come the Kangaroos, but only as far as Shantaine Harpy, and he got a very good tackle in on Matt King. And look at the weight as well from the New Zealanders, forcing him back towards his own line. Here is Minicello.
That's been one of the features, isn't it, by the New Zealand side. They've worked as a unit, gang tackles, that play on. He's involved in the tackle.
He wipes the tackle count clean, does Steve Ganson. That was deemed to be a play at the ball by Fayumu.
0.
Willie Mason bumps off one, can't get away from the next man in. They're always there in numbers, and they have the penalty, Australia.
You're offside, mate. Wait, Trent. You're offside, mate.
Offside is Mr. Ganson's version.
Really good tactics, hasn't it, by Brian McLennan, the Kiwi coach, just make sure that, you know, 2 or 3 get to him, and then make sure he can't play the ball quickly.
Mark O'Mealy. Tupi stands his ground.
Australia need a break.
Wing to Gower. Barrett showed it to Kennedy. Oh, and it's lost again. They've lost again.
Too smart. He was never on. It was a beautiful tackle low down. Kennedy, we know his ability to offload. Just wasn't there. Just couldn't get enough strength.
And here is David Solomona for New Zealand. Well, I tell you what, if Wayne Bennett's instruction to his team was hold on to the football, they have failed to respond to those words in this second half. And now New Zealand have another penalty.
You're offside, mate.
Well, the referee certainly is making this a stop-start affair in this second stanza.
And that will be music to New Zealand's ears.
Of course it will. Just basic.
But look at the error count from Australia, 12.
You can't win a game.
And New Zealand just 3. They're not making any errors. And here they are with Ruben Wiki. Could be a famous night for Ruben Wiki on his 50th Test appearance. And Stacey Jones. And Stacey Jones, great ball. And that is Fatuira. And it's all hands to the pumps now for Australia as Fayumu spreads the ball wide. Kidwell, Vanganar. Oh, and Vanganar escapes the net nearly. 3 tackles gone, 3 remaining for New Zealand here as Fayumu finds Stacey Jones. It goes back, and this is Brett Webb, and Webb is in again. Webb is in for New Zealand, and it could be game, set and match. It could so easily here be game, set and match if this is given by the video referee.
And I can't see any reason why it won't be. Excellent stuff. We knew what the tactics would be, that they would just drive in one out and only put something on where they could smell the line.
They're looking for obstruction against Trent Barrett here.
Well, Barrett was certainly battled out of it. No doubt about it. It was Anderson that went for him. Is he deemed to have stopped him an opportunity? I think he might have. The Australians may be very fortunate indeed. Nothing wrong with the grounding.
Well, they're not interested in the grounding, just the obstruction. So here's the decision.
I think there'll be no try.
It's a try to New Zealand. And it's 20 points to 0 to the Kiwis with a kick to come. And Brent Webb has scored his 6th try of his international career. And the Australian supporters and players are stunned.
Well, it's amazing and fully deserved because it's all basic, isn't it? They have not come up with the errors, the black and white. It appeared to me as though there was interference by Anderson on the standoff, Trent Barrett. The video referee, Dave Campbell, said no. He's been the star of the show, this fellow, the fullback, Brent Webb. But what about this guy? What a character. Jet lag? What jet lag?
Another 2 points to New Zealand. It's 22 points to 0 now. And Ian, if Australia are to come back from this, it will be one of the all-time great comebacks.
Well, we hear every sport, we hear cliches, it's a game of 2 halves, we committed too many errors, we didn't hold the ball, you go for them all. Australia have committed them all. They can't hold the ball at the moment, they can't build pressure. All they need at the moment is some back-to-back sets to apply some pressure and some momentum and rhythm, and they can't achieve it.
The trouble is, though, Ian, is that the New Zealand pack are just taking the Australian 6 apart.
Well, they're giving them a lesson on how to take the ball forward to build a platform for a kicking game and before you shift the ball. They've got some great go forward. They've got a little bit more subtlety around the rucks area with some options. At the moment, unfortunately, they're very much one out, Australia, and what they are, they're very keen to shift the ball to get out of problem. At the moment, the forwards, as you say, Steve, are completely dominated.
And things getting worse for Australia. We're hearing news of injuries in the Australian camp, Chris.
Yeah, that's right, Eddie. Brent Tate's limped off the field. He's carrying what looks to be a knee or right ankle injury. I don't think we're going to see him return, so they are reduced to 16 players with just one back or utility on the bench. It could present some problems.
New Zealand in possession with Stacey Jones, and the kick is a good one because it finds its way. Oh, and he was nearly over there, Anthony Minichiello. That was quick thinking by him. He knew he was in a little bit of space and he just flicked the ball back.
That could change the game. Just little things like that, and he's got the offload as well. That could just spin it around. Remember, in the first half, it was the interception by Anderson that turned it for the Kiwis, and that could be just what the doctor ordered. They need something. I don't know what medicine that Wayne Bennett can mete out to his players, but they've got to start swallowing it soon. Great stuff.
Minicello, well, he's living up to his tag as the best in the world in a team that's very much on the back foot at the moment. This is Stephen Price. Missed Great Britain last week up against several of his New Zealand Warriors colleagues, of course. Here tonight, this is Luke O'Donnell.
And even when they're in possession, the Australian forwards, they don't appear to have any venom.
Gower will hoist the ball high. Trying to do what his opposite number has done. That's not forward, though. I think the referee has given a penalty here to Australia for a tackle on an airborne player.
You took him when he's in the air.
Well, that's what the signal has done, and he's got it absolutely right. Well, a good work by Minicello, and then the penalty to the tap.
This is Jason Riles for Australia, and you get the feeling that they must score here, Australia, to have any chance at all. Gower gets the ball away. This is Fitzgibbon.
Second.
And Shantane Harpy was the tackler, helped out by Banganar. Again, they look at Mr. Ganson. Mealy goes without the ball. It is not Australia's.
No advantage to the Kiwis, so the official Ganson will put the scrum down.
How clever there as well by the Kiwi. You see the error here from O'Mealy, but there's no real play there to take advantage. He's saying we'll have the scrum. That's another 30 seconds to a minute gone as well. So everything going New Zealand's way at the minute. Look at that error count, 13-3.
But that was a sally.
Oh, certainly was.
You've got to take that.
How many times, Steve? Oh, one off the ruck have the Australians dropped it tonight. It's like a different team to what we watched last week.
Yep.
Have it right.
It would be.
Have it right.
From a British point of view, it would be. But it's 20 years, by the way, since Australia, and we're starting to look now at these sort of records, 20 years since Australia were last nilled in a test match. 1985. And it was against New Zealand, 18-0 in Auckland. Louis Anderson, another good run, doing what the Australian forwards have not been able to do so far tonight. Here is Asotazi.
I must say, it will be a tremendous boost if the Kiwis can hang on, lift the trophy. Fantastic for rugby league in their country.
Ruben Wiki, yes, fabulous. All Blacks, of course, dominating the other code, New Zealand.
And they've just had it on the sideline. They've got Ali Lautiti to introduce him to the game. Very, very fresh indeed.
Oh, Stacey Jones. Well, it was a bit hospital pass. He was committed. Bit of a slap of the hand. Either way, it was a high shot. Couldn't clench it, but boy, that had a big red cross on it, didn't it, on the inside pass, Stacey Jones.
And Brian McLennan says, let's take 2 points, because we enter the last quarter 24-0 up. That is an almost insurmountable lead.
And the clock is ticking away.
Indeedy.
Well, New Zealand can't look at the clock, what they've got to look at, what they've got to do to win. And I think the viewers have probably heard us talk 100 times about Stacey Jones' kicking game. What he probably needs to do is change it now and run the ball into touch to slow the game down, because at the moment the Australians want to try and get the tempo up and the Kiwis want to slow it. So you'll find Stacey Jones now get that brain thinking, one of the best in the game, run the ball in the touch, walk, take their time and start admiring, because don't forget in the Tri-Series last year, Steve-O did not win a game.
Yep. And fair credit to their coach, Brian McLennan. He really has brought them together. They're a very, very strong unit, close-knit.
Coming into this match, Australia finishing top of the table with 3 wins, New Zealand second with 2. 19 tries scored by the Aussies, 21 tries scored by New Zealand prior to tonight. Top scorers in the competition, and top scorers on the night. Stacey Jones makes it 24-0. History beckons the Kiwis. Darren Lockyer, I wonder what he'll be thinking now, going back to last year. What will he be thinking? Brian McLennan. And they don't look that bothered. And they are getting probably their messages back home to the folks down under. 24-0. New Zealand lead. Lauatiti is on. Man Mountain for the Leeds Rhinos, of course. He's taken a bit of stick, apparently, amongst Kiwi commentators for his performances in the Tri-Nations. this fella's been majestic. Ruben Wiki.
He's led by example. It's rather sad, 24-0 as you look at it. Perhaps a lot of people will say, especially the media, that, you know, Australia just didn't play up to scratch. You can't say that tonight because the amount of pressure, okay, there's been a couple of easy ones taken down, but the way that the New Zealand side has got into the Australians' faces, and the Aussies don't like it.
Well, you're right. They have been right in their faces from the first minute. New Zealand fully deserve this 24-0 scoreline they've got alongside them, but gentlemen, Australia are dreadful tonight. Let's be fair.
Yeah, but all the little things, Eddie, you need to build up a platform in attack and defence. New Zealand have carried them out to the letter. Australia haven't. They've been very, very naive and everything. I've just got to put a point there on Ruben Wiki. I spoke to him the other day and I said to him, enjoying it? And he said, oh, loving it. And I said, was this your last tour? He said, gee, I hope I get picked next year for the Tri-Series. So it just goes to show they're heroes to people in rugby league, but at the end of the day, they just love playing the game.
They do. And he's played 50 times for his country now. Here's Sivanasiva for Australia, getting them to halfway, but it's on tackle number 4.
But it also just indicates to you the importance of, you know, the players playing with the pride and playing for the country.
Chance wide here for the winger, but no, great defence again. And there was nowhere for Matt King to go then other than over the touchline, because the New Zealanders slid across and saw to that, and it was Jake Webster.
New Zealand head and feet.
Great stuff.
Form up, boys. Danny.
It really has been a pleasure to watch.
You're a big gas, mate. You need gun sorted.
I'll be thinking that way down in Australia, but I'm sure that in New Zealand they are just cock-a-hoop with the way that they have played.
I think that's been the big thing about New Zealand, Steve, is the fact that if somebody has made an error, which you're bound to do over 80 minutes of rugby league, what his mates have done is covered for him. Yeah. And they've all worked and worked and worked so hard for each other. You can feel the camaraderie, the spirit within the squad, and it looks as if it's going to carry them through.
It does at this stage. Our colleagues Sky TV in New Zealand did consider at one stage, Steve-O, sending over their own commentary team for this Tri-Nations final. They decided against it, and they're taking us instead. Trust you're enjoying our commentary and enjoying what you're seeing here. Not necessarily the fact that there's a man having his head bandaged, but the fact that there are so many glum Australian faces at the moment.
Never had a look in. They've been battered and bruised. The Mexican wave is underway.
The last year the British fans were doing it because they had nothing else to do, because we were getting hammered. And tonight all the neutrals are involved, but I don't think Wayne Bennett will be standing up off his chair.
Well, I think they might just call it a moving haka.
Okay. Time back on.
So these players talk a lot about this cava they drink. Steve-O, have you ever tasted them? What's in it? Because Rafika Palestina is supposed to be a training with Wigan on 7:30 on Monday morning. I was going to wonder if he's in a fit state.
They will party long into the night if they win this. There's no question of that. Even though Palestina is not involved in the match itself, you can bet your life he'll be involved in the party.
Well, I have tried that cava and I don't recommend it.
Take it off him. Take it off him.
Nigel Vanganar is hurt, and the referee wants the ball taken off him. And they say they can't get it off him because he's
ankle. All right, mate.
He's hanging on for dear life. He knows that there's a few seconds. Okay, this clock has been stopped, but they will be enjoying this. The Kiwis. Not even the great Australian sides of yesteryear can pull this back. That I have no doubt. Just went down awkward.
He did. His ankle got stuck underneath Petro Sivanasiva.
Yeah, and then he got rolled over it again. Got the double dose.
No problems in the tackle, Dave. What, mate?
So the referee just giving them time to get Mr. Vanganar back on his feet, but I don't think
the most important thing,
well.
One of the most important things about this game
I think that's him finished. That's him finished for this game. It was.
Yeah, it went over very badly. But I just like the way that the New Zealanders have been able to just disrupt anything that the Australians have done. Oh. They've never been able to get any momentum. You often talk about getting the roll on and how it's hard to stop. The Aussies haven't even started.
No, they've been tremendous of the New Zealanders, and all credit to them. But it's a sad sight to see that Nigel Vanganar there is his Tri-Nations final. He's finishing with that, but he won't want the stretcher, will he?
No, he's going to be taken off the field by the training staff. And you see Vanganar leave the field. Thoughts to Paul Deacon, of course, of the Bradford Bulls in Great Britain, who has dealt with the injury he received in the match against the Kiwis a few weeks ago in exemplary fashion. He took all the heat out of the situation with Nigel Vanganar, issued a statement. And let's hope that Paul Deacon is back in Bradford's colours for the World Club Challenge against the West Tigers, which will start the season off. Well, Solomona with the offload, and it's gobbled up by Petro Sivanasiva.
I can't believe that he wanted to do that. McLennan will get the message out straight away. Oh, what a hit!
Wiki on Craig Gower.
But the New Zealand coach got to get in and say, listen, fellas, this is not the time to start being fancy. This is the time to just slow it down, play the basics that we've got there. And what a rise to prominence by that fella. Had you ever heard of Brian McLennan? I hadn't.
Heard of Mike McLennan, of course. The man who gave us the great phrase, retention of the football is paramount. And they have held on to the football, haven't they, New Zealand?
Well, I'm going to say, if the Australians had heard him, they'd have done well to take some notice.
This is Trent Barrett for Australia. I think they are looking, actually, to just get a little bit of respectability back into the situation here. Luke O'Donnell, and the kick was from Riles. It's fielded by Webster, and there was no real chase for the kick from the prop forward.
Well, it's sheer panic. There's been no cohesion.
Shontaine Hartley, he's maybe playing himself into a new position with the balls at loose forward.
He's worked hard.
It's been interesting, though, how Coach McLennan has used Harpe, because he switched with Patueiras. At times, Patueiras ditched into the middle and Harpe's going into the centre. And it's a tactic that's worked very, very well indeed.
No wonder they didn't want to announce their side until just an hour before the kick-off. This is Solomona again.
And you could see on that occasion, there was never going to be any chance that he was looking to offload.
This is Matutoni.
He's played really well. I thought that might be a weak link, you know, in the New Zealand side, having to push him in, not having a regular hooker, but he really has come of age. It's been a wonderful performance from him.
Another great kick from Stacey Jones, making Gasnier field the ball right down by his own try line, and here is Matt King, and there is just no way through this defence.
And it's been good defence as well with the Kiwis, is that they haven't been eager to get the man with the ball to the ground. They've kept him up, and 3 and 4 people have kept him moving.
Cooper is picked up and dumped, centre field. Gower, wide to Craig Wing. Wing gets Australia over halfway, but can get them no further. Tackle number 4, Gower the dummy half. Trent Barrett, and this is Stephen Price.
Oh, that's another mistake. Oh, they leaked that up. Said thank you very much indeed.
0, Steve Price. Okay, mate.
And it's at the stage where I think everybody in this stadium and all the people at home that are connected to the green and golds, I think they're going to say that's it. And I have to agree with them, because New Zealand will just trundle it up, give it back to that man with the 7 on his back, Stacey Jones, and just irritate them.
David Fayumu, and Shontaine Harpe drives it forward again. Fayumu once more, they're 20 metres away. There is Stacey Jones, it goes wide to David Solomona. Solomona this time doesn't think of the offload. There's the ball here to Fatuira.
5 on the line.
And they are so close to the line again. Solomona, back he comes to Stacey Jones, and a drop goal from Stacey Jones.
No.
Miss.
20.
And it's the right thing to do as well. Just drive another nail in. Trouble is, it didn't get into the wood correctly.
No progress forward though by Australia.
Go.
The way they played last week against Great Britain, the way they cut Great Britain to pieces from deep. Men like Gasnier, who just played the ball there. Stephen Price wasn't available, of course, or didn't play last week. That's an offside decision against New Zealand. And Bill has got some news from the New Zealand camp. Bill?
We saw Nigel Vangener going off, and it is an ankle injury. Right ankle is the problem. He's going to need an X-ray, and it could be an uncomfortable journey home tomorrow evening for the Kiwi. But if they come through this and take the trophy, it'll be a lot more pleasant. There is some Australian injury news as well. Here's Chris Warren.
Yeah, well, they've lost Tate already, and Fitzgibbon, it looks like he won't return as well. It looks like a left knee injury, so they are down to 15, the Kangaroos.
Just 15 men for Australia to see this match out. Here they come, though, and off the shoulder of Jason Riles. Another knock on.
I can't believe that the Australians have persisted with this flat attack continually and just coughing the ball up.
New Zealand
if it's not working, and I am surprised that Wayne Bennett has not changed some form of tactic.
Shortcut, lads. Shortcut touches.
Completely outclassed. I never thought I would see the day when I could say that about an Australian outfit that has been just not at the races. They've been battered, they've been bruised, they've been outthought, and they've been outcoached.
Well, I've got to say also there, Steve-O, is they've been so consistent in their defence, New Zealand. I've never seen a New Zealand international team be so consistent. And it always comes from your desire on a kick chase in your first 3 rucks. They've been honest, they've been together, and they've been very aggressive. And I've never seen Australian team. If you look at average metres, probably for Australia, their first 3 or 4 rucks, it's very poor. And that's where they've dominated the game.
This is Ali Lauatiti.
Again, just basic rugby league football. It may not be pretty, but who cares if you're a Kiwi?
And the British crowd's asking the Australians, who are you? And he gets a penalty, Solomona. There's been a lot of that. I mean, Matt Cooper having a right go there, Mr. Ganson. There's been a lot of that tonight. Every decision that's gone against them, they've contested.
I know, and that's frustration.
Well, that's symptomatic of the night they're having.
Yeah, of course it is.
But it started a lot earlier than 24-0.
You can't take it away from them. If the guy was, you could see there, he was lifting the leg up as he was regaining to the ground. The official has got no option.
This is Ruben Wiki. Here is Lauatiti. Lauatiti offloads again. And Shontaine Harpy feeding off him.
They've not finished the Kiwis. But they say, it's plodding when they're in their own half.
Motu Tony! And he's just forced back over the whitewash this way. Fayumu has scampered in at dummy half. He'll bullet the pass to Jones, who'll find Webb, the fullback. And here is Fatuira. And the ball went forward. The ball went forward. Jake Webster's try is rubbed out.
Forward, mate.
Good hands, though. Very good hands. Ooh, well, I'm not so sure. Maybe on that angle, but...
Well, that's why the TV cameras cannot be judged on a forward pass.
What about the momentum rule, though, Eddie?
Watch his hands. That's the secret. His hands are going backwards.
I think that should have been allowed.
I agree with you. I think that was a great piece of skill and a great finish. And it'd been a fitting way to round off this Tri-Nation finals. Just watch his hands. That's the secret between whether a pass is forward or not. And his hands went in a backward direction. That should have been allowed.
Webster had overrun it as well, which didn't help Mr. Ganson. He did have to reach back, but he had overrun the pass. Anyway, it's no try. It's 24-0, and we've got 10 minutes or so remaining.
Hold.
An historic night for New Zealand Rugby League. They would have watched their cousins, the All Blacks, sweep through this country, and they will want the headlines themselves in the morning.
And they deserve them as well. But there, the tackle before was an example of what I've been trying to say, in as much that they just keep the ball carrier, they hold him up, second man comes in, third man comes in, they've just battered them.
Any respectability for Australia. That ball went backwards, was actually touched, I think, by a New Zealander, and the referee agrees. This is O'Mealy, it's back to 0 in the tackle count. That's tackle number 1. Badiris. An Australian captain who's going to go home beaten in a major final. Haven't had one of those for years and years and years. And a pity it's not the red, white and blue of Great Britain from a purely xenophobic point of view. Here is Gasnier. and he was spun to the ground by the tackle from Lauatiti. Craig Wing, good on his feet. Gets the ball away to O'Donnell. Manu Vatavai with the tackle. And play on. Badira's trying to get the ball through his legs. He did, but it hit the New Zealander, and Vatavai got the possession back for his country.
Well, 2 tries by the winger Vatavai, but he does get through a lot of work in defence. Say things certainly not coming off. The writing has been on the wall for quite some time.
And here comes the half break. In fact, it's more than a half break, and it's Asatazi, and he skipped through another challenge, and he's still not finished. And that's good play from Badiras. Came over the top and dislodged the ball. O'Mealy gets it out wide, but it was dangerous. Fatawira all over the top of Matt Cooper.
Here they come. Swarm all over them again. They must have worked really, really hard on their defensive line. I know that Brian McLennan, their coach, was bitterly disappointed with their performance against Great Britain.
Here's Matt Cooper, brilliantly kept alive by Willie Mason.
Third! Holriven!
Well, they have been in this country as rank underdogs, the New Zealanders. The accommodation wasn't even booked for them for this final, and they've used that to their advantage.
They
really have.
But there's another, you know, the flat pass, not the best from Gower. Barrett had to hang back for it.
Okay, mate, just
well, we've never seen this, Steve-O. In all the years that we have been involved with international rugby league, we have never seen a performance like this from Australia. Credit to New Zealand, they have forced the errors.
To be fair, I've never seen a better performance by the New Zealand side either.
Okay.
They have been wonderful. And there was about 15 minutes in that first half, midway through the first half, when it looked as though New Zealand was shaky. Australia were getting over the advantage line. It looks as though they're going to get it, but then that intercept from Anderson turned it all around, and they've just controlled the game ever since.
Well, their consistency's been outstanding. I know the Sky cameras have picked up Darren Lockyer a few times, but if you look at people who are some of the best players in the game, Sonny Bill Williams, Benji Marshall and Leslie Vonacolo, they're not out here today. I think Brian McKellen, if you keep going back, I think Eddie, an hour and a half before kick-up, I said, what's the team? He said, oh, they got a surprise, they reckon. Shantine Harpy, we wouldn't have picked him there, would we? He's been an absolute marvel there. And Vatawara on Cooper has been outstanding. He's done a very good job here tonight, Brian McClellan.
This is Ali Lauatiti. The ball is fed wide to Manu Vatavai. Here he goes again. The offload back to Clinton Tupi. And they're just hanging off, aren't they? Australia, they are not. And they haven't closed them down in the tackle from the very first whistle. Motu Tony and Ashatazi. And here is Lauatiti. And Lauatiti offloads to Tony. And Tony slides the kick through, and Trent Barrett diffuses the danger for Australia.
Surrender!
Allows that for confidence, just keeping the ball alive, spinning around. You can see that most of the Australians were just hanging around, waiting to see what's going to happen.
Second, hold, go.
Boy, there'll be some battered bodies on this Australian team after this game. It's been a wonderful effort defensively, hasn't it, by the Kiwis?
Great ball from Gower to Kennedy, and the offload. This time it sticks to Minicello, and Minicello over the top to Matt Cooper. And Cooper is pulled down by Jake Webster. They don't want to concede a try, do they? Here's Gower. And again they force him out. And they hold him up short of the line. That's the last tackle. Danny Badiras waits at dummy half. Gives it to Kennedy. And Kennedy goes without it. And that is typical of Australia's night. Yet another error.
I can't believe what I'm seeing, because remember at Wigan, when they took on Great Britain, within 3 of the last minutes of that game, in atrocious weather, they were flipping the ball back, running the angle, scored sensational 2 tries, and here, perfect conditions, no excuses.
19 errors.
2005 will go down the year that England has not been a good country for Australian sport. We look at the cricket, we look at Costa Zoo in boxing, now we look at rugby league. Not a good year, and it gives everyone hope next year for the Tri-Series, especially those England players sitting back in their living room saying, I want to be on that boat.
I think as well that last passage of play summed up the game perfectly. The New Zealand spirit to scramble back in defence, and then the pressure they exerted on the Australians to come up with the error.
Brian McLennan is celebrating because we're 4 minutes away. Not even Australia can score 4, 5, 6 tries. Not with defence like that. They're in touch again. That's been the story of the night.
Yep. Keep the man up in possession. Keep him up off the ground. Swarming defence. And congratulations to that fellow and all concerned.
Well, they came here 12 months ago and they never won a match. And Wayne Bennett will be the first to congratulate Brian McLennan, because he says, and he has said philosophically a number of times in the recent past, look, we cannot win them all. It'll have to happen sometime, and it's happened tonight. It's over 50 years since New Zealand beat Australia in a Test series, and they're going to go home with a glittering silver trophy as well. The Tri-Nations prize is going to New Zealand with the Kiwis, and they're still not finished. This is the fullback, Brent Webb.
He's been the man of the series for me. Oh. Brent Webb has been absolutely superb, and look at the enthusiasm. It is wonderful. The Mad Butcher there, Peter Leach coming to interview, and I do know that they were absolutely furious about the fact that they didn't get hotel accommodation because they thought it was going to be a Great Britain-Australian final. Boy, when they lift that trophy in a few moments' time, it will taste very sweet indeed.
Minicello somehow picked up the pieces then.
Hold here, hold, not out.
They nearly dropped the ball again then on the first tackle. This is Gower, and this is Willie Mason.
Second on the line.
Australia looking to make sure they are not nilled in an international for the first time in 20 years. Barrett, Gaznia escapes one net, escapes two nets. No, he doesn't. Off it goes to Kennedy. Kennedy offloads to O'Donnell. O'Donnell over the top. Here is Craig Wing. Great defence again. And David Kidwell, should be a penalty that, and it is.
It's got to be. Madeira's to take the quick tap, they're away, they've got it out wide.
And this is Gower. This is Craig Gower.
And he's dropped it.
The ball has gone forward and it's no try. Wayne Bennett, a resigned little shrug of the shoulders there, I think.
Well, that was knocked out.
It was also, it went backwards.
I think it was knocked out anyway. Doesn't make any difference.
One apiece, isn't it, anyway, with the New Zealand disallowed one?
Okay.
Brian McLennan. He's come out of nowhere. He coached in the lower grades in New Zealand. Nobody had heard of him. Boy, they've heard of him now.
His head in, please. Get up. Okay, we go.
Well, I do hope that when they fly back, they will receive a hero's welcome, because this has been nothing short of superb.
We're entering the last minute, and New Zealand are ahead by 24 points to 0. What will this do for the international game?
It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And it just shows that the ability, and of course the junior development coming through in New Zealand is starting to bear reward, and I think it's just sensational for it.
But for men like Ruben Wiki and Stacey Jones, legends of the game in New Zealand, it is a fantastic, well, I was going to say end to their international career. Stacey Jones has made more comebacks than Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I think this will be it now.
And, but Ruben Wiki has said, as Ian Millwood said, he wants to be involved in next year's Tri-Nations. So maybe he's not done yet. But it's a great way to celebrate your 50th Test cap, world record, and you're going to be top of the world tonight, New Zealand. This is Barrett over the top to Gower. Play on indeed. And they're counting down, and Brian McLennan is dancing all over Ellen Road. And New Zealand have won the Tri-Nation of 2004. And it's no fluke. It is an absolute hammering for the Australians here. They started with the win in Sydney for the first time in 46 years. And they have finished with a win here in the final that is richly, richly deserved. And Wayne Bennett and company go home beaten in a series for the first time since 1972 in the World Cup. It's been a long, long time since Australia have been outplayed at this level, but outplayed they have been.
They certainly have, and fully deserved this victory. We often talk about team spirit, but what was on display tonight was amazing. The way they swarmed all over the green and gold jumpers, absolutely superb.
Bill Arthur is now with the legend himself, Stacey Jones.
Stacey, worth coming all the way for, eh?
Bloody oath, yeah. Fantastic. Mate, I don't even know what day it was. That's what it was like. So
look at that scoreboard. It's got 0 on it next to Australia.
Great effort. You know, boys were fantastic. Defence was huge. I think all week, you know, talking to the boys, they were up for it. So, mate, worth coming back for, that's for sure.
It was a complete performance, wasn't it? You didn't really let up.
No, you know, I think, you know, we just got over there off the big guys. Our defence was good. It was fantastic. Keeping to 0, awesome.
You're going to sleep well tonight.
Oh, well, can I just say hello to everyone back home, Rochelle and the girls, and Monty's son. Cheers.
Well done, Stacey. Well done, Brian McLennan. You said in the week you were worried you'd maybe dipped a little bit in form. I think you got it right at the right time.
Without sounding like a big head, we were pretty confident during the week. People wrote us off, said we were terrible against Great Britain. They beat us 6 tries to 3. We won the second half. Mate, we were always a good chance. We believed in ourselves, but we just played the underdog a bit.
It was a textbook performance, wasn't it? You didn't really put a foot wrong tonight.
Boys were very strong. We concentrated on our go forward. We did a couple of changes, a bit more speed around the ruck. They went with the 4 props. We went with 3 and went for quicks, and it paid off.
Well done tonight, Brian.
Yeah, thank you very much, and to all you Kiwi supporters, yeah!
Well, what a way to celebrate 50th cap, and that's exactly what Ruben Wiki has done. Ruben, 50 caps. That's not a bad way to celebrate your 50th, is it? What do you think the key was tonight?
We just did it for each other. And the black jersey and heaps of sport. It was good.
50 caps. This must be the sweetest of them.
5-8, mate. I loved every moment of it. This is the best feeling ever, you know. And everyone doubted us, but we did the job, and for our families back home and stuff, it was good.
What do you think this will mean to New Zealand Rugby League? I mean, I know the dust hasn't settled yet, but this is a momentous result, isn't it?
Oh, it is, mate. You know, it's Australia's always been dominant, and we believe in each other. And with our coach, he set a structure that we all tied in with, and we believed in, and we did it. And history's sweet, mate.
Well done tonight. Well done on 50 caps.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic effort from Ruben Wiki, and it's going to New Zealand. The Gillette Tri-Nations Trophy. The Australians are absolutely shell-shocked. They have not had anything happen like this to them before. And Wayne Bennett said after the first match that they lost in Sydney, he shrugged his shoulders and said, well, it had to happen sooner or later. And it has happened here in Great Britain, but sadly not with the red, white and blue, Steve-O, but with the black and white of New Zealand.
Oh, you've just got to raise your hat in the way that the Kiwis just went into the Australians. They never allowed them any chance to move. In fact, I think only 2 really clean breaks by the green and golds throughout the game, 1 in either half. And midway through the second half, I think it was Craig Wing that ran from dummy half, and they just kept getting back in numbers, and they fully deserve this victory. As you say, it'll do wonders for the game down in New Zealand, but I am sure that the knives will be out for Wayne Bennett back in Australia. They will not take too kindly to this. It has been a long time, as you say, 1972 since Australia have failed to pick up a major trophy.
Ruben Wiki deservedly gets the man of the match medal from Richard Cabourn, the Minister for Sport, the Kiwis captain on his 50th international. It could also so easily have gone to Stacey Jones, but it goes to Ruben Wiki. And any moment now they will receive the trophy. But first the match officials will receive their commemorative medals of a really, really big night here at Ellen Road. Remember, 2 weeks ago at Huddersfield, Brian McLennan's men, they conceded 6 tries to Great Britain. They lost the 1988 World Cup. They lost the 2000 World Cup final to Australia. They lost the 1999 Tri-Nations tournament to Australia. Tonight, they will believe that they have put the record straight. 27 years since Australia lost a test series, beaten 2-1 by France. 51 years since New Zealand got the better of them until tonight. Since 2000, Australia have played New Zealand 12 times. They've only lost twice. Now they have lost number 3, and they have lost the Tri-Nations final. And New Zealand have won the Tri-Nations for 2005. And on one leg, Nigel Vangenaar leads them up to receive the trophy. What a night for New Zealand Rugby League. What a night for Brian McLennan. What a night for international rugby league. And the New Zealanders will be defending the trophy in their own backyard and in Sydney this time next year.
You're putting heaps on your room tonight, Sal. Yeah.
Fabulous win for New Zealand. A first series triumph over Australia since winning in New Zealand in 1953. Fantastic moment for these players, and they will live every single moment. Began with the victory in Sydney, concluded with the victory here at Ellen Road in the final. Ali Lauatiti, he was so disappointed losing the grand final at Old Trafford, but now tonight the game of his life here. And of course he won the World Club crown here in February, and he ends the year here 42 weeks later as a winner again. They'll remember this for as long as they live. And I wonder whether we have just seen a switch in the balance of power. They were completely outplayed, Australia. And Richard Caburn is now going to give the Tri-Nations trophy to Ruben Wiki. And New Zealand are the 2005 Tri-Nations champions. And how well deserved after they have nilled the Australians. A comprehensive victory. Hardly threatened in the 80 minutes. And whenever they did threaten, Australia dropped the ball. New Zealand tonight are on top of the world.
You gotta love it, don't you? You gotta love it. It's not often that the New Zealanders get one over the Aussies, but Pete, you gotta love it.
You gotta love it, and you gotta love the reaction, I think, by the coach Bluey McLennan as well.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that's gone through from coaching the Barter card, Mount Albert champions in the country, and now to go on and win the Tri-Nations Cup as well, and show it in absolute emphatic style, and just show the world it's all about enjoyment, and he's not afraid to hide it. Good on you, Bluey.
And why not celebrate, which we'll make next Friday, the Gala Awards night for New Zealand Rugby League. One very, very special night from Sky City, which we'll bring all the goodies. Both Peter and I will put our flash frocks on, and away we'll go, and that will be a very good one to look forward to. But when you talk about complete performances, you got to say that this Kiwis outfit today put on a complete performance, because they denied Australia the chance to dominate.
Well, they denied. They completely put them out of the game. You know, they won it statistically, off the field and on the field, even more so when you consider right across the likes of Shantaine Harpy. He was outstanding. Roy Asatasi. And it was a real sense of a mix of the Black Wall and Welcome to the Jungle, the Rumble in the Jungle. There was elements of all those two previous encounters in Game 1 and Game 2. They were outstanding. Ruben Wiki, Louis Anderson. There's still more to come out of this kid. And each time we see him play, we see a little bit more that you come to like. You've known his enthusiasm, the intensity that he plays a game. There's more to come out of this youngster. Manu Vatuvei, what a game.
What a day too. Everybody's getting involved, the whole squad, management and all, and it's been one of those tours that for once, I say it again, you got to think Stacey Jones, you know, this is what he is. It may not have been a grand final, it may not have been a World Cup, but for Stacey Jones in the twilight, this would be just as good.
And so rewarding for the champion. And it was the fact that Stacey was making himself available, the fact that Stacey came all the way back here for the birth of his child, and then to jump on the plane and go all the way back. You had to know that there was something special, because there's no way in the world that he would have misread this one. And that's why we all went to the TAB, and that is why we put it on 13 plus, because we knew Stacey. We were on his tail and we were riding him. On you, son. There you go.
What do you mean we, white man?
Well, there we go.
So it's we today. All right.
Cannonballs. There you go.
24 points to nil, and the Kiwis triumph in the 2005 Gillette Tri-Nations. They have kept Australia scoreless for the first time in 20 years. The celebrations will continue long and hard, but then they've got to hop on a plane and start thinking about pre-season. We're back with more. 24-0, and Pete's promised to share his earnings on this one with me. That's the final score in the 2005 Gillette Tri-Nations Trophy. They have kept the Kiwis, Australia, scoreless. And you can imagine what that will mean to the Australians. I said the pre-game, Pete, Danny Baderis had suggested they have everything to lose and they will not disappoint. Well, they have come up with the game that we have not seen, but Pete, I still believe the game they put on today was forced on them by an outstanding Kiwis effort. One we haven't seen for years.
And I think to suggest anything other would detract from a Kiwi performance. Yeah. What we've also got to recognise, 7 weeks they've been on the road. It's also been a very new sort of proposition when you look at the management team, that Brian McLennan, Graham Norton, even for Peter Leach in the role of manager. And to manage these individuals for 7 weeks, it's a big task, and one that they've learnt on their feet as they've gone along. The final result would have to suggest that they didn't get too wrong. I heard an interview with Peter Leach halfway through the tournament, and he was questioning whether or not some of the things that they had done, particularly when they were starting to suffer a little bit from hotelitis. But they've come through trumps, and they're going to learn a lot from it. Some things they'll do a little different maybe next time round. You look at how they performed up against Great Britain and France, maybe that was good that they got those ones out of the way. But one thing was absolutely certain, and I was surprised that so many people underestimated. What you saw in Game 1 or Game 2, yes, they fell away in 3 and 4, but you knew that they were still good enough to come back. There was still one good one. Tawa Nikau was quite emphatic on that on Friday. They had one good one still in, and they were good enough to do it. Kangaroos, well, you've got to look at a philosophical coach in Wayne Bennett, and as he openly says, you've got to lose one day. Unfortunately, it was today for them, but well done for the Kiwis.
And the numbers say it all for the New Zealanders too. When we look at the stats and you just look at the completion rates, look at the completion rate of the Kangaroos, Pete, 17 of 37. They missed plenty of tackles, although the Kiwis missed a few more. And then the numbers that the outside of that, when only one Australian forward made it 100 metres exactly, that was Jason Riles. Wiki 196, Modutoni 106, Kidwell 161, Asatasi 138, Rauhihi 111. It was all based around the simplest reason why this game is so good. You create the platform, it will all come off the back of it.
You create your own luck, and they worked hard to create that luck. The pack were outstanding, the likes of Ruben Wiki, Asatasi, Motu Tony, David Faumu, knowing that his dad's driving a cab down in Wellington. He'll probably be late for work if he's rostered on
and
today.
So he should be.
And so he should. He's entitled to have the week off, but good luck to him.
Shontaine Harpy, inspirational.
Well, what Brian McLennan said as well, they opted to go for a little bit more speed around the ruck, and they just got it spot on. You know, don't underestimate the smarts of Norton and McLennan. They know the game, they read it well. To make such a subtle change like that, to bring in Shontaine Harpy, number 13, and all he did was get out the acting half, just run it up, and it was so noticeable right from the outset. The speed of the ruck was second to none. They played strong right throughout, and they took care of the Australian pack. Their defence was outstanding. Their offensive game was simple, but it was ruthless. At times you looked at the likes of Willie Mason. They knew they were going to get bashed. They were having little peeky-boos, and they were coming, and they came for 80 minutes. Solid performance, and they're certainly all enjoying themselves, and they're going to have a big one. Manu Vatuvai, Clinton Torpy, good on you guys.
Yes, the Kiwis are triumphant in 2005, and what a fitting end it has been for the International Rugby League season. We've got their awards due this coming Friday at Sky City. Here are the Player of the Year nominees: Benji Marshall, Ruben Wiki and Paul Fatuira, and the Rookie of the Year nominees: Jake Webster, Benji Marshall, and of course Manu Vatuvai. And then there it is, Sky City on Sky Sport 1. The big show from 8. It will be a big show, now made even more special by the fact that there will be a a nice piece of silverware, and I trust Sel and the boys will bring that home in business class and make sure it doesn't get dented and not filled with too much lion red, Pete, and we can have something to celebrate.
Mate, they can fill that cup for as long as they want and let it run up over for as long as they want as well.
All right, well, there you have it. The final score here is 24 points to nil on a day that we trust. Just a reminder too that the All Blacks follow this. We'll see what they can do, but first of all, let's go back there. David Kidwell, another great contributor.
One you would ever have played in. Did it live up to expectations?
Oh, absolutely, mate. It was the biggest game, and you know, the boys really stuck good tonight. You know, we worked on a few things during the week, and we said, you know, we had to do the 1%ers, and everyone out there, every single player put their hand up and did the 1%ers, which got us over the line to win the Tri-Series.
I think the worry beforehand was that you maybe gone off the boil a little bit.
Yeah, I think those 2 weeks before this game sort of put things in perspective and sort of put our feet back on the ground and knew we had to do the hard work again, and that's what we did throughout the week. And we knew the hard work would pay off in the end, and we just grinded it out, grinded the win out, and the result is we won the Tri-Series, so it's awesome.
Has the difference been that maybe you've been a bit more disciplined this time round, whereas previously, you know, you might have thrown the ball about a bit more, you've played a bit more conservative game?
Yeah, like I said before, you know, we had to emulate what we did in the last two tests, and that's just go forward, kick the ball down and wait for their mistakes, and I think we proved that tonight that it works, and we can do that kind of game. We can do that power game, and that's what works for us, and that's what we sort of concentrated on tonight. Oh, it's cold out here, mate. It's cold out here. I'd just like to say hello to my little girls, Aaliyah and Zali. You know, I've been away for 6 weeks. You know, a lot of people have been away from their families, and we just made a lot of sacrifices here tonight, and it's not just for us, it's for all our families back home in NZ. So, kia ora koutou. Thanks, mate.
There you go. That's what it's all about, this great game of rugby league, remembering the families and those that do make the sacrifices, Pete. And when you think about those that, this is the bit that does it for me, Pete. They did it after the win in Sydney. Let's just enjoy it. Yeah, okay, we enjoyed the sound of the haka, and I tell you what, that I don't care what anybody says, you can see it, you can hear it, and that's what it counts. They did it after Sydney. There was a sense of something special about to happen, and then everybody got a bit concerned after the loss to Great Britain, the struggle against France, and you know, everybody's a cynic, everybody's a doubting Thomas, except Brian McLennan and Graham Norton, and to think the riches that they have still awaiting. Sonny Bill Williams, Benji Marshall, Thomas Lulawai, Jerome Ropati, Leslie Vainikolo.
But I think before we go there, let's not sort of gloss over, I think, some of the things that were said during the week leading up to the game, particularly by the coaching staff, and they made a lot of comparisons to the Sydney Swans. And it's so easy sometimes to hear what you think is being said. And they talked about relying a little bit more on the power game and not the flair. But the key message underpinning all that was about looking at what David Kidwell referred to as the 1%ers. Doing all the simple stuff and doing it really, really well. And I think a player that we've overlooked so far is the one that wore the #1 on his back, and Brent Webb. He's been outstanding right throughout. His kick return, his ability to come up the line and take a bit of flank off, be able to find an offload in his game. Yeah, he has been one of the most impressive players. Along with David Kidwell, I thought defensively, he scrambles. He always scrambles all over the park. It was a performance that the coaching staff, they got spot on. The Australians, unfortunately, wasn't their game today. They were well off it, but they were put off it.
They were put off it by a forward performance that has been, it was a revelation today. We spoke to Bluey last night on Sport 365, and he said, I thought the best half of the football we played was actually the first half at Ericsson. Not the first half against Sydney. He thought they were completely on their game, and even last night he was sensing that just maybe something special might happen, but he had said to me quietly, we're going to play this one down. He said, quietly off air, I'm confident. I don't mind admitting that now. It's easy to gloat a little bit, but he said, quietly we'll play this one down publicly. Off air, I'm actually quietly confident.
And he came up and said exactly that in his post-match interview. But then to lead on to the point where you talk about 2005 Tri-Nation champions, the Kiwis, you now start to look forward to what's going to come in the next tournament, and hopefully the possibility that we will see the likes of the best, the Benji Marshalls, the Sonny Bill Williams. Everything looks good at the moment for New Zealand Rugby League. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see some of those at the New Zealand Rugby League Awards dinner on Friday at Sky City, live on Sky Sport 1 from 8 o'clock. It'll be certainly a year to celebrate now that the Tri-Nations Trophy is firmly and on its way home
to New Zealand after a wonderful Tri-Nation series that has provided so much emotion for the followers of sport.